it's not simply saying, oh, should they have this weapon system or that weapon system? There are a lot of things that go into it. Do they know how to use it? And some of these sophisticated systems take training, and that's one of the other things we've done. Can they maintain it? Because if you give them something that falls apart in 7 days because it can't be maintained, that doesn't do a lot of it. And then, is it part of a coherent strategy to achieve a very clear objective? All of those things have to go into these decisions, but what I can tell you is we've adapted and adjusted every step along the way. We'll continue to do that.
So not ruling out at this stage?
We never rule out, but when we rule in, we want to make sure it's done in such a way that it can advance what the Ukrainians are trying to achieve.
And Yalda joins me now, and it's an interesting interview to get at this time, Yalda, and he's clearly concerned by this growing relationship between Iran and Russia, particularly over Ukraine.
Indeed, Mark, very much so. And really, the crux of my question was based on the fact that he has now said that Iran is sending shipments of ballistic missiles to Russia, and that they believe, based on their intelligence, that it is going to be used on Ukrainians within the next few weeks. So I then asked that question around the long-range missiles and whether, as Ukrainians are continuing to push for them to be able to use them within Russian territory. So a really interesting exchange there where he said we're not going to rule anything out and everything is on the table, but they have to ensure all of these things. And ultimately the buck stops at Biden, and he doesn't believe the president is going to rule anything out at this stage. I also talked to him, Mark, about that other war, the war in Gaza, the ongoing humanitarian situation. I was in Israel in the last week, and I just put that to him about the ceasefire agreement and deal that the United States continues to say they're close to achieving. But of course, everyone in the region, including Israel, said there is no deal. Have a listen.
When we look at where we are with the work that we've done on a ceasefire agreement, along with Qatar and along with Egypt, in terms of what's on paper right now, more than 90% of it has been agreed. Now, people can change their minds, but at this moment, more than 90% of that agreement reached between both sides. Almost by definition, the closer you get to the finish line, the harder it gets, because the toughest things usually remain till the end. It's horrific. The suffering of innocent men, women, and children in Gaza is gut-wrenching. And it hits me every day. And I think most of us think of our own children. And it's one of the reasons we've been determined to do everything we can to make sure that they get the assistance they need.
What I sense, Mark, was a Secretary of State that could potentially be ending his first term, and it's unclear, obviously, with the US election coming up in the next 8 weeks or so, whether he will be running for office again, and whether he will be in this position. The question around him was, will this be part of his legacy? The fact that there is currently no ceasefire deal, no end to the ongoing conflict and devastation that we have been seeing in Gaza. And, you know, you could really get a sense of the frustration that he feels that he has made almost a dozen trips to the region and frankly been left empty-handed at the end of it.
OK, Yalda, thank you very much indeed. And just a reminder, you can watch Yalda's extended interview with Antony Blinken on The World. That's at 9 o'clock this evening here on Sky News.